Yesterday, we got major clarity on the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson offseason fiasco. Also, Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie gushes over our future franchise quarterback, Jalen Hurts, at the owners' meeting. And lastly, with Kelly Green finally coming back to the Eagles, I go over my top 3 players that I think should wear 0 in Kelly Green. So let's get it.
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is another episode of Philly the podcast. So today, I want to talk about the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation. Howie Roseman really went in depth and told us everything we needed to know about what happened with that situation. Also, I want to talk about Jeffrey Lurie and a lot of the great things that he said about Jalen Hurts and what it could mean for this offense in the draft. And lastly, I do want to talk about Kelly Green coming back and give you some players I think should be wearing number 0 in Kelly Green. Now, before we get into that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. We are on the road to 5K. So close. So less than 100, you guys. Let's get it done, man. I really appreciate everybody that's liked and subscribed so far. So let's hop right into it, man. I want to start with Jeffrey Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie was talking about Jalen Hurts, talking about this offense, talking about last season. So he talked about a lot of good things in that owner meeting. Shout out to all the reporters that were out there asking the questions, asked some really good questions. So they asked him about his about Jalen Hurts' potential, Jalen Hurts as a worker, what he loved about Jalen Hurts. And he said, and this is an exact quote, he said that Jalen has an incredible passion for being phenomenal. So that is that's what you want to hear, right? That he was gushing over Jalen Hurts and over his work ethic, over what he's been able to do with this team and the maturity. He even went on to say that he doesn't think he's ever seen a player as mature as Jalen Hurts, especially at that age. So there's a lot of things that they're saying that tell us he's not going anywhere. Howie Roseman even said he's not going anywhere. We're going to make this happen. We want him to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Jeffrey Lurie even was asked about the Super Bowl, and he said with a minute and a half left, you have a timeout. He would have loved to see what happens. He even said that he felt we are built for it. We were built for it. And I agree with that. I mean, they asked Jeffrey Lurie, they asked Howie Roseman how we plan on getting back to the promised land, how we plan on getting back to the Super Bowl. And it sounds like they are going to keep their eyes focused on this offense, try and get this offense as good as it can be and move on from there. Obviously, we saw a lot of veterans come back to this defense. That seems like it's going to be a short-term plan. That's what Howie Roseman said. He said that these are all short-term options. Now they're trying to build this team. They're trying to flip this team, reposition this defense especially. The offense is young. The offense is signed for a while. So it's very interesting to see what he said. I do want to talk about basically what this could mean for the draft, because Jeffrey Lurie did say that he felt offense was most important for his team right now. He felt that he needed to get this offense right. So could that mean we're going offense in the first round? I know a lot of people are now saying, hey, he wants Bijan, he wants this guy. That necessarily doesn't mean that. In my opinion, that probably means he's looking at offensive line. He's probably looking at something on the offensive side of the ball that is going to help him for the next 10 years, get him a franchise guy like a Lane Johnson or a Jason Kelsey or Jason Peters or a Jordan Malone. He wants to get a guy that is going to be on that offense for the foreseeable future. That could even be a wide receiver. Obviously, we look at what we have with the wide receiver room. We feel very comfortable for the next 2-3 years, but there is going to become a time where Devontae Smith has to get paid, right? A.J. Brown's contract is going to run up at some point. So maybe that's where they want to focus on as well, now that they see the importance of the position. I don't know that it's such a foregone conclusion that we're going to go out and get a running back. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, if we do get Bijan Robinson, that obviously does help our offense immensely, tremendously. So I understand how he would get to that from, saying that he feels the offense is important. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we know that Jalen Hurts is going to be our guy. We know that, this offense is young, is filled with weapons. So it's going to be interesting to see how he wants to improve that. I think it's going to be on the offensive line, but I could be wrong. Now, next, I want to talk about the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation. Howie Roseman was asked about the Chauncey Gardner situation with the contract and what happened and why it didn't work out. And I'm going to put the whole quote up on the screen, and I'm going to read the full quote to you. All right, shout out to The Athletic. This is where it's from. So Howie said, when you go back to the start of free agency, we talked to his representatives about bringing him back here and also talked to them about the fact that we had limited resources. Those first couple days we tried and then we pivoted. I think that's one of the most important things of free agency. And I talked about this. That was something that impressed me a lot about Howie Roseman, was the fact that he was able to just move on, that he was able to find another way. He got James Bradberry back, got Darius Slay back. That was very, very important. So I'm glad that he said that. He said, you can go in with a plan, but you have to be able to pivot and have other options and not get stuck with nothing. Exactly. I think at that point, that's where we went. And then when we pivoted, that was kind of where it ends. What he meant, we made a competitive offer, but he wanted more money than we were willing to pay him. If he was going to get paid like Jesse Bates, somebody would have paid him like Jesse Bates, and we couldn't wait around forever. When he turned down our initial offer and Bradberry was still on the market, we signed Bradberry and the cap situation shifted. So we moved on, and when he lingered 1 week later, he seemed to move on. Too. Contracts can be manipulated in different ways. We wanted him back, but at our price, not his. And in the end, we weren't going to move mountains to keep him. So that was from Zach Berman of The Athletic. Shout out to Zach Berman. So look, I mean, that's 100% what I wanted. You can get upset that we don't have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I would have loved to keep Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but at the end of the day, we can't bend over backwards for everybody, and he took too long, waited too long. We had to make decisions. I'm glad that we were able to just make our decisions and not get thrown into a bad position because he wanted to wait. So it sucks that he's no longer here, but I think that was some very good clarity on this situation. Now, I promised you guys 3 players I think should wear 0, okay? So obviously, if you don't know, at the owners' meeting, Jeffrey Lurie did announce that the Eagles will be wearing the Kelly Green alternate jerseys next year as an alternate. You know, it's not going to be at every game. I would love to see how every game, but it's going to be an alternate jersey. So we were talking, and they also said number 0 is now open, so players can take number 0. I will say this. These are my 3 guys, okay? And I'm not going to go too in depth in why I think they should, but I think Nakobe Dean would be cool to see at 0. I think James Bradberry would be cool to see at 0. And I think Kenny Gainwell would be cool to see at 0. Another guy that I think would be cool is Reed Blankenship. But those 3, 4, I guess it was really what I gave. Those are the guys I would love to see in 0, just because I think it would be dope. I think James Bradberry, you got a 0% chance of actually catching the ball on him. You know, you look at Reed Blankenship, blank, 0. It just makes sense. Nakobe Dean, I just think it looks cool on a linebacker. I think 0 would look cool on a linebacker. So, I mean, those are the guys I think would look cool in it. I think it would be fun to see. I'm excited for Kelly Green. I really am. If you're an Eagles fan, you know what Kelly Green represents. You know what times Kelly Green's represents. And that's why I want to see this defense really strap up, because that's what I remember with Kelly Green. But let me know what you guys are thinking. What does Kelly Green remind you of? That's going to be the question of the day. What does Kelly Green remind you of? Leave it in the comments. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. And we are out here. Peace!
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, early time to do him in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.